Okay, so this is a video about, I guess, restoring original finish. And not necessarily restoring, but making it look better. You would not do this on a nice paint job. The bed is actually original paint. From the doors forward, I think that door was, well, that could possibly be original. And then the front door and the fender is not original. So as you can see, there's all this rusty chips, etc. And it's kind of unsightly. If you look down here, that's terrible. So that's what it looked like all along the top up here. I have not done the bottom of the fender yet, but it's amazing what you can do with a little triple-aught steel wool. And that's adhesive, so I can't, the pressure washer actually took 99% of the adhesive off, which I was impressed with. So we're gonna do this side with the steel wool, and I'm just using Simple Green. I'm sure that you can use soapy water, Dawn detergent in there, but I'm using Simple Green just to get some of the grime off, I guess. And this is, like I said, you don't do this on newer paint, shiny paint. You don't do this. But it doesn't seem to transfer any paint onto the steel wool unless you really scrub on it. So let's take a look here. I'm going to do this side. So that was a fairly miraculous transformation. And like I said, if you scrub on it, it does take paint off. But that looks a hell of a lot better than that. So I've done the bottom rail there, all along there. I have not done the bottom rail down there. So, like I said, you do not do this with decent paint. But the steel wool really doesn't transfer. There you can see just a minor amount of residue on there, but you just got to be creative with this stuff. If you're dealing with, like, I'm just going with the patina of this truck, because I you know how much money it would cost to paint this whole entire truck? We're talking probably $5,000 to $10,000 for a decent paint job, maybe even more. I don't know. I haven't been in that world. I do a lot of body stuff. I try to do as much as I can by myself. And we're also going to touch this up. I've done steel wool as much as I can. we're going to try and touch this up. You just need to be creative, and from a distance it'll look great. If you get up close, you'll be able to notice that it's been touched up. But let's come back and we'll take a look at how this works. Just do very thin, and then just to get that initial paint on, and give it a little bite, and then you'll probably have to do 3 coats, and then try to wipe the edges so you don't have big gloppy, and you'll think, well, this is not going to cover, and this is ridiculous to use a brush on this big of an area, but I think it's more effective than a paint gun, because unless you have a little tiny touch-up gun, because the paint gun just blows a lot of paint onto the surface. You could do it from a distance away, and I also took a hammer this used to be all dented in. I took a hammer and knocked it out as much as I can, and it looks a lot better. So thin coats that don't necessarily cover, but just to get the paint something to bite into on your next coats. And this has already been steel wooled as much as possible. So, and then to blend it back in, because it's obviously going to be brighter than the old faded paint, you can take some wet sandpaper, probably like, I don't know, try 1,000, just to dull it up. Just want to take the shine off of it. And that way it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. And I got it on the bumper. But anyway. This door jamb isn't too bad. The other one had large spots of paint missing. Alright, we're back. It's a little shady over here. But I have painted. I have steel wooled with, actually I said triple aught, but it's double aught, 00 steel wool. Fine steel wool. And some simple green. Or, you know, water and Dawn dish detergent or something. So I've done the entire bottom with the steel wool and the simple green. I've touched up the rear portion. So if you're standing over here, you're in the grocery store parking lot or whatever, your eye is not going to be drawn to that massive rust spot underneath on the rear wheel well back there. Whereas before, there was a gigantic rust spot over there, and you're immediately looking at that. and you're looking at all the rust that was along the bottom. So the closer you get, the more you can notice that that is there. And you don't really notice above the tailpipe, but you do notice back at the back by the bumper, because there's damage there that I pounded out with a hammer as best I could. But the bottom of the below the molding there looks a hell of a lot better. I mean, it could either be a bunch of rusty mess spots, or it looks like the top half pretty much. So anyway, the steel wool kind of, it's like sandpaper, but it's more forgiving, and it actually kind of smooths and sands the rust down. So if you want to touch up the spots after you get done, you're ready to go. Or throw a coat of wax over it and seal it in there a little bit. I use rust mort on the rear portion there and any of the major big spots. Let's go take a look at the door jamb. We are going for perfection here. We are this is a rusty, kind of beat up old truck. We're just trying to, as you remember, that was all white with seam sealer. There was a couple of rust spots in there, which are still there, but when you open this door up, your eye is not immediately drawn to the big rust spots and or the white. I did a little bit along the door there. So yeah, we ain't doing concourse. We are sprucing up an old, fairly original, not so great paint, but fairly straight and presentable. So just go to your auto body store and look at their, like this is a 1984 K30. So they have a book that you look in, and there's it shows little pictures of the colors of the vehicles back in 1984. And like this one had two different yellows, so you choose the yellow that looks most like your vehicle, and or you can get the paint code. This does not have it in the door jamb, but usually the paint code is in the door jamb someplace. So yeah, anyway, I think it looks a hell of a lot better than the rust stains. And I tried rubbing compound, a fairly aggressive rubbing compound, and it would not take the rust spots out. So the steel wool was the next step, and it did the job. Thanks for watching.